In 1977, a golden machine, no bigger than a car, was hurled into the darkness, carrying with it humanity's voice, our music, our greetings, even our dreams pressed onto a golden record. Voyager 2 wasn't just a spacecraft, it was our messenger to the cosmos, destined to travel farther than any human creation had ever dared. For decades it drifted, its instruments quietly humming, sending back snapshots of Jupiter's storms, Saturn's rings, Uranus' pale glow, and Neptune's restless winds. Each transmission felt like a heartbeat across the endless void, proof that something built by our hands still lived beyond the reach of sunlight. Now, nearly 12 billion miles away, Voyager 2 is in interstellar space, where the solar wind no longer shields us and only silence reigns. At that distance, a single message takes over 17 hours to reach Earth. Faint whispers against the background noise of the universe. Yet every signal matters. Engineers wait anxiously for those flickers of data, because they are more than just numbers. They are reminders that Voyager is still alive, still carrying our story into the abyss. But then, amid this steady rhythm, something strange stirred. But then, something changed in the signal. For years, the signals had been steady. Predictable, weak, yes, but faithful, like the fading heartbeat of a distant traveler. Then, one night, as engineers monitored the stream of data flowing in, the rhythm stuttered. The ones and zeros, usually neat and expected, suddenly twisted into something unrecognizable. Screens lit up with red alerts. At first, the team thought it was nothing more than interference, perhaps a passing burst of cosmic radiation disrupting the fragile link. After all, deep space is filled with static, and Voyager has endured countless storms of invisible energy. But this felt different. The distortion lingered, repeating itself, weaving a strange pattern across the data. The silence and the control. Room grew heavy. Is this the first sign that Voyager's aging systems were finally failing after more than 4 decades? Or was it evidence of something external, something pressing on the spacecraft from the darkness beyond our solar system? The transmission had a pulse, almost deliberate, as though it was trying to say something. No one wanted to admit it, but the thought couldn't be ignored. What if Voyager 2 hadn't just broken down? What if it had encountered something? Data file was copied, dissected, and sent across departments for urgent review. Analysts leaned in close to their monitors, scanning the strange disruptions, their faces lit by the flicker of code they couldn't yet understand. The real shock came when experts began decoding the anomaly. The first experts to weigh in were the mission engineers, veterans who had spent their lives coaxing life out of a spacecraft long past its expected expiration date. They leaned toward the simplest explanation: aging electronics, perhaps a corrupted bit stream caused by Voyager's weakening power source. After all, the probe was powered by decaying plutonium, its heart slowly cooling him. Sooner or later, the signals would falter. "It's probably just noise," one engineer muttered, though the unease in his voice betrayed doubt. But not everyone was so quick to dismiss it. Astrophysicists brought in from research centers studied the repeated distortions and noticed they didn't behave like ordinary noise. Cosmic radiation usually scatters data randomly, like static on an old television set. This, however, looked patterned, almost rhythmic. To some eyes, it resembled a pulse, a deliberate sequence. Late at night, under the hum of fluorescent lights, graduate researchers scribbled calculations on whiteboards, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. The air in the lab felt charged, as though the universe itself had leaned a little closer. And then came the whispers. Some suggested Voyager had picked up a disturbance in interstellar space, an approaching wave of high-energy particles, perhaps a solar storm on a scale we've never experienced. Others whispered something bolder, that Voyager wasn't failing. At all, it was relaying. The thought lingered like a ghost in the room. If this was a message, it wasn't one of malfunctions, it was a warning. But the interpretations quickly spiraled beyond the scientific. Almost immediately, theories began to swirl, each more unsettling than the last. The cautious voices pointed to cosmic radiation, the invisible storm of high-energy particles that drifts through interstellar space. Perhaps Voyager had simply crossed into a denser region, and the interference was nothing more than the echo of raw physics. Others, however, painted a darker picture. What if the patterns were the first warning signs of a colossal solar event? A flare so massive that, even from billions of miles away, its fingerprint reached Voyager before it reached us. If true, the spacecraft might be acting like a cosmic early warning buoy, a lone sentinel sounding the alarm before Earth ever feels the impact. But speculation didn't stop at natural forces. Online forums and even some respected academics entertained a wilder possibility: extraterrestrial contact. Was Voyager picking up a message not of its own making? Had something or someone out there intercepted our machine and chosen to send something back? The thought was intoxicating and terrifying. After all, the golden record strapped to Voyager's side carried our location, our sounds, our greetings. What if this was the reply? Each theory deepened the divide. Was the anomaly science, chance, or intention? The more people studied the repeating pulses, the less they resembled chaos. They felt deliberate, like a coded phrase waiting to be unlocked. And just when the debate reached its peak, a revelation flipped everything upside down. Weeks of analysis turned confusion into something far more unsettling. A team at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory noticed that the distortion wasn't random after all. Buried in the noise, the data repeated itself in cycles, like a phrase spoken over and over in a language we didn't yet understand. This was no ordinary static. It was structured. And in the world of deep space communication, structure means intent. The revelation spread through scientific circles like wildfire. If Voyager 2's failing systems were responsible, the corruption should have looked chaotic, jagged, unpredictable. But this anomaly carried rhythm. The repeating intervals suggested information, as if the spacecraft had intercepted something and was now trying to echo it back across 12 billion miles. Suddenly, the theories that once seemed far-fetched no longer sounded so impossible. Was Voyager acting as a relay, transmitting a signal it didn't originate? Some researchers compared the patterns to known cosmic events, gamma-ray bursts, pulsars collapsing stars, but none fit the timeline. Others feared the implications of a massive energy wave moving through interstellar space, the kind that could strip atmospheres and erase worlds. And then, in hushed conversations, the boldest idea surfaced. What if this wasn't a warning of nature, but of presence? An intelligent hand brushing against our probe, nudging it, leaving behind a signal. For us to find, the discovery marked a turning point. Voyager's message was no longer dismissed as glitch or error. It was a question aimed straight at humanity itself. If that's true, then the question isn't just what Voyager found, but what it's warning us about. If the anomaly really is a warning, the implications stretch far beyond a single spacecraft. Some scientists argue it could be an early alert about our own star, a solar flare of unprecedented magnitude, a kind that could knock out power grids, cripple satellites, and plunge modern civilization into chaos. Others suspect something even more catastrophic: the signature of a black hole or neutron star hidden in the interstellar dark. A cosmic predator slowly drifting toward our neighborhood of the galaxy. If Voyager has sensed such a force before we could, then it may be humanity's only advance notice. But the possibilities aren't all doom. To some, the transmission feels less like a threat and more like a guidepost. If it is intelligent in origin, maybe the signal is a breadcrumb, a marker left for us to follow when we're ready to step beyond our solar system. Hope and fear intertwine here, because what waits on the other side of that message could either elevate us into a galactic community or expose us to dangers we're not prepared to face. For now, humanity can only listen, decode, and wonder. Voyager 2, battered and fading, may have handed us both a riddle and a choice. Ignore it as a glitch, or take it as the most important warning our species has ever received. Whatever the truth is, one thing is clear. Out there, beyond the reach of our sun's warmth, Voyager 2 drifts silently onward, its tiny antenna still pointed home. Every second it moves farther away, into a darkness that no human eye has ever seen, carrying with it the hopes, fears, and voice of an entire planet. Decades ago, we sent it as a messenger, a bottle cast into the cosmic ocean. Now, against all odds, it may be carrying something back to USA's reply we never expected, a warning we can't yet decipher. The spacecraft itself is fragile, its power fading, its systems aging, but what it represents is anything but weak. It is proof that humanity dares to reach, to ask questions, to demand answers from a universe that so often remains silent. And perhaps that silence has finally been broken, whether by nature, by chance, or by something far more intelligent. Voyager's strange transmission has forced us to confront the possibility that we are not just drifting alone, so we stand at a crossroads. Will we dismiss the signal as noise, or will we prepare for what it might mean? If the universe is trying to warn us, the question is no longer whether we will hear it, it's whether we will listen before it's too late.